Another crazy CELPIP picture, which is going to be a nightmare to describe. So we're going to talk about parts 3 and 4 today of CELPIP speaking. Now this is where you get a picture like this, something totally chaotic like what you see here. And you have to describe it in part 3. You have to describe what's going to happen in the future in part 4. I'm going to give you my 5 strategies, 5 main ways to view this picture, because it's not all about English. It's also about how you organize the information, how you attempt the structure in the right amount of time. And obviously we will get to some English later on, but if you look at these 5 things, it covers a lot of components of your English, which are going to be range of vocabulary, structure, cohesion, prioritizing what information goes first and next, and so on. So let's jump into it. The 5 main things you have to focus on when you attempt the picture questions in CELPIP speaking are: number 1, position; 2, description; 3, feelings; 4, actions; and 5, priority, which is probably the most important. So let's jump into what these things are. Let's have a look at this picture. You can pause the video if you want me to stop talking, and you can just concentrate for a few minutes. Okay, now remember, in the speaking time you only have 30 seconds to prepare. So what I'm going to tell you now, we're going to discuss this in detail, and you're going to practice this in detail, taking a couple of minutes per picture to do this. Once you get better, you make that time shorter, make it a minute, make it 30 seconds, and so on. Okay, so let's look at it with detail without worrying about the time for now. The first thing is position. Let's see where people are. Okay, we can see a bunch of robots, politicians, and people. So we see that in the background, you can say there's buildings. You can also, the robots are in the background. In the foreground, which is the front of your screen or the bottom of your screen, you can say is the people, obviously. Center are the politicians. We need these words because you have to think of explaining the picture in terms of explaining it to a blind person who cannot see. So you want to talk about positions throughout your speaking on the right, left, background, foreground. Okay, so that's called positioning. The second thing is description in terms of what these people are and what they're wearing, how they look, their appearance. Okay, so the robots have kind of a glass, you can say a sunlight-proof glass maybe, and they're huge. They're fully metal and they look bulletproof. Okay, just figure out ways to describe how they look. Practice this and later you'll realize how important this is. The politician looks grumpy, or maybe he is passionate, we can't say. The security looks concerned, and so do these 2 people. Now, who are these 2 people? Let's describe them as well. This guy looks like Einstein, but we're going to say maybe he is a scientist. This guy looks like someone who is assisting the politician here or here because he has a piece of paper and it looks like he is going to provide it to someone. So it doesn't look like a leadership position for this person. Security guard is pretty intense. And people have different faces. The ones here are more aggressive with their fists pointed at the sky. And these ones are a little bit more docile, but they're still angry. None of them are happy. Nobody in this picture is happy. Okay. So we have described them, how they look, how they appear. Now let's talk about feelings. This is important because we miss adjectives. We miss the way people feel or the expressions they're giving. And if you don't express or you don't say their expressions, their feelings, or the ideas that they're portraying, it's just going to be a very dry speaking, which mostly students do. Here's the robot, here's the politician, here's the people. That's what I hear of often. But what are they feeling? So this politician is, as I said, passionate. People are pissed. We can't say that. So we're going to say people are annoyed. This guy's probably surprised, flabbergasted. This guy is confused or not in his zone. He is, what's a better word for confused? There's something coming to my mind. This guy is, damn, I can't remember that right now. Okay, well, and this guy is indifferent. He's not feeling anything. And with the robots, you can say that they have a very aggressive demeanor. Instead of saying basic words, we're trying to use advanced ones. Now, you don't have to say all of them. We're just practicing. We're preparing and thinking about all the adjectives we can use because people don't use them. And when you don't use them, you don't have what? Range of vocabulary. So you got to make sure you get those adjectives in, feelings in, so you get the range in. Now let's talk about actions. What are they doing? This is going to give us verbs and adverbs. If I talk about people, pointing out their fists in the air. So we got the verb pointing out, and if I say aggressively, passionately, or assertively, you can also say, with all those lees, you're putting adverbs, and that adds another layer of variety and range of your vocabulary. So now you're using adverbs, adjectives, verbs. Nouns are going to be natural when you say the robot, the buildings, the people. That's going to be natural. So we're using a combination of our parts of speech, and that is a range. The more parts of speech you use, the better your range becomes. Final thing is priority, and this I said earlier is the most important thing. Priority is what am I going to say first and what am I going to say second and so on in case I run out of time. I want to say everything, but let's prepare. Let's always have a backup. If time is running fast, what can I sacrifice? All right, we'll talk about the sacrifice in a sec as well. So I'm going to definitely talk about the politician and the people. Those are the most important elements. So the politician is saying something that people don't like. All right, so that's going to be my first priority. Second is going to be the robots. They're big, they're huge. We got to talk about them. And if you do this, just these two things, you will not lose marks on the task response. So task response is basically whatever you think is happening in the picture. You can interpret it according to your angle. It's not clear what the examiner is thinking, what you're thinking, so that's fine. But if you miss the most important elements of the picture, which are the center of the interest or the biggest objects in the picture, or something that is leading the picture, like this politician, you cannot miss this guy. He's literally in the center. So if you miss the most important things, you will get your marks reduced or deducted for ignoring the most basic, the most important things that 90% people will see. Okay, that means this guy, these two guys, they are not that important because they are there. There's a stuff to talk about and we can use some words and time with them, but I'm going to say that's my priority number 3. In case I have more time, my priority number 4 is going to be separating these people by saying that the ones towards the back of the politician look like to be a group which is way more aggressive than the ones in the front, maybe because they are threatened by the politician directly looking at them. And they're a little bit more docile or obedient or not unruly, okay? And if I have even more time, I'm going to talk about the buildings in the background. It looks like a first world country with all the technology and the robots as well as the huge buildings they have. And if you want to make it realistic, you can say stuff like, you can say it looks like Dubai, it looks like New York. All right, so I wouldn't have that much time realistically. We get 3 to 4 points in within a minute. But with the structure, I have made sure that I have covered everything, or at least the most important things. And if sacrifices need to be made, if I'm running out of time, I know exactly the elements that I'm going to sacrifice. So remember, guys, 5 things when you look at the picture: position, description, feelings, actions, and priority. Now, when it comes to your preparation time, you only have 30 seconds to figure all of this out. But you wouldn't be thinking about 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You just need to think about it for the next week or so. Do a 2 to 3 minute preparation at home, thinking about all those things, and slowly the time will get faster, so much that you'll be unnatural at looking at these things. You wouldn't even think about the 5 things. All right, so let's do a sample. Let's get started. I'm going to look at my time here. Okay, looks good. This picture shows the element of complete chaos with a politician at the center being very passionate about probably introducing a bunch of robots. I'm hoping for security or military purposes. However, the audience passionately rejects it. They are aggressively pointing their fists at the politician, while the ones in the foreground appear to be a bit more docile. When we look at the elements towards the back or the background of the politician, we see a security guard who looks pretty intimidating. I'm sure he can knock someone out with that muscle and that power that he has. But towards the right-hand side, we got a scientist, probably, that's what I'm assuming, as well as most likely an admin assistant. Surprisingly, they look a little calm given the situation that can erupt into complete chaos very soon. Those are the main elements I can see in the picture. There you go. I was able to cover all 5 things, surprisingly. Usually it's 4 things, but there was time to talk about more stuff. We used a lot of range. We talked about feelings. We talked about adverbs. We expressed it naturally, and it was all done within a minute. If you speak like that, you score 10 plus. So make sure you prepare wisely and get all those elements in, and you'll have a great speaking part 4 and 3 in your exam. All the best. Please like, share, and subscribe. We'll talk soon. Take care.